Is everybody ready? I can't hear you. Is everybody ready?
Yeah.
Ready.
Ready like lunch meat.
Now you're making everybody hungry now. All right. At this time, fellow Toastmaster speaker for today, Debbie Thomas. Go ahead, Debbie.
Thank you, Jerry. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. We're going to talk about the new and improved level 1. It's so good to see all your smiling faces today. So let's get started. All right, so today we're going to talk about several things. I think there is a refocus on fundamental skills. With the new level 1, they've added some things, 2 new projects. They removed one, moved it somewhere else. We'll talk about that. I want to show you some of the features in the new level 1. They've reworked some things, made some things a lot less complicated, less confusing, and we'll show you some of those things. And then I'm going to do a brief demo, but I do want to close with talking a little bit about Basecamp managers, because as Basecamp managers, we've got to manage the level 1s, regardless of whether they're the old level 1s or the new level 1s. So we'll talk about that. I'll have, after the presentation, we'll have an opportunity for some questions, and then we'll go into the demo. Okay? All right. So let's talk about, and I don't know a better word to call this other than the old level 1. It's not the traditional level 1 anymore. It's the older one prior to October 27th. I don't know why that date was chosen. It's kind of an arbitrary date. But on the 27th, anybody who selected a new path started with the new level 1. So I wanted to just show the older level 1. You see that it is 3 projects: icebreaker, evaluation and feedback, and researching and presenting. So that's the thing that we've all used since we rolled out in Pathways. Now, if you have selected your path prior to the 27th, maybe you've done your icebreaker but not anything else, you will continue with this level 1 until you finish that path. Any path now that you select after October 27th or on or after the 27th is the new path. And this is the path that we'll be talking about today. You can see some familiar faces here, icebreaker and evaluation and feedback, but you'll also see some new faces: writing a speech with purpose and introduction to vocal variety and body language. And the reason I said that I think Toastmasters has refocused on the fundamentals is this feels to me, for those of you who are familiar with the old CC manual, this feels a little bit more like the CC, where we had some speeches that we talked about how to structure a speech, how to organize it. We talked about vocal variety and body language. And so if you look at it this way, there is a vocal variety and a body language project in the level 3 electives. However, if you think about a new member who may not even select either one of those electives, they would never get any kind of introduction to vocal variety and body language. And Toastmasters realized that was really important for a new member to understand. And so this particular project is going to introduce them, give them a good baseline for both vocal variety and body language in the education. Writing a speech with purpose was something that was also important in understanding what's the purpose of the speech. What is your message? What is it that you're trying to say? And to be able to do that in a very organized way so that you're not all over the place. So these 2 projects were added, I think, to give a stronger baseline. And I think it's something that Toastmasters listened to a lot of members when they said, I don't feel like the level 1 is strong enough in some of those foundation skills. And so that is why we have a new level 1. So let me just show you a comparison. Sometimes I have to see things side by side. So I did want to just point this out. The Level 1 prior to October 27th, of course, started with the icebreaker. The icebreaker is still there, and anything in the new program, the icebreaker starts it off, and that is the same. The project is the same, still 4 to 6 minutes. The evaluation is very, very similar. I think it's almost the same. There may have been a couple of tweaks, but this is basically the same project. Evaluation and feedback is still here. It is the same project. It's still 2 speeches and an evaluation, but it has been moved to the bottom of level 1. It's no longer the second layer of level 1. The researching and presenting project has actually been moved from level 1 to a level 3 elective. So it's still there. It's very similar to the old CC speech number 7 where you did researching, but it's moved to an elective. So you can do that project, but you won't do it in level 1. There are 2 new speeches or projects, as we talked about: writing a speech with purpose, and then introduction to vocal variety. So let's take a look, and I do have a handout of this comparison, so I'll be putting it at the chat in the end if you want to. You can make notes on that, or just know that I will put this in the chat for you. All right, so let's take a look at the assignment for writing a speech with purpose. This is actually from the new level 1. You can see that you select any topic, and it's a 5 to 7 minute speech. You're going to consider the topic, but it really delves more into what is the purpose, what's the underlying purpose of your speech, what's your message so you can get a clear message across, and then how you organize it. So we'll take a look at that in just a minute. And as part of the demo, I'm actually going to walk through this new project so you can see it. Okay. This next slide is introduction to vocal variety and body language. So if you look at this assignment, it's something that you would do to get vocal variety and body education. It talks about things in vocal variety like pace and tone and pitch and volume. It talks about your body language, your gestures, your stance, your hand movements, things like that. And so you get a lot of really foundation. I think it's like building a brick house. You get a foundation when you talk about these things. There is something, though, that is very interesting and a little bit of a twist here. So I did want to mention it for a second. When you do this speech, you can do either vocal, you can focus. You're going to get education on both of them, but you're going to focus on vocal variety, or you're going to focus on body language. Or they say for a seasoned member, you may want to focus on both. And Toastmasters actually recommends that if it's a brand new member, this is one of their first speeches, that they either focus on vocal variety or body language and not try to do both. And it might be a little bit harder to try to encompass everything. So you're going to focus on that. And your evaluator will need to know which of those you are focusing on. So I'll go into a little bit more detail with that, because that is a little bit of a twist, and you have to understand that from here. Okay, this is actually part of the evaluation form for vocal variety and body language. If you look at the part that I've circled in red, it actually says at the bottom, use this evaluation for speakers who have indicated they want to evaluate on body language or on body language and vocal variety. If the member indicated they want to do vocal variety only, then they are supposed to use the speech profile evaluation. That's a totally different evaluation. And so I wanted to explain that a little bit more. And this is as part of the project itself, some of the education that you get from the project. You'll see in the middle that I've circled in red. You can choose to ask your evaluator to focus on your body language or your vocal variety. If you're an experienced person, maybe this is the third time you've done a level 1 or you've been a Toastmaster for a long, long time. You may choose to focus on both. But keep in mind, it is a lot to ask to excel at both early in your Toastmaster journey. So again, that's why they have split it up. They wanted to educate our new members on both, but they wanted them to be able to focus on one or the other if they're brand new. But if you're seasoned, then you may want to focus on both. So this is the evaluation part of the education or the project, and you can see it actually does have two evaluation forms. Use the top one if you're doing body language, either both or simply body language only. Use the speech profile if you're doing vocal variety. And so we'll talk about some things that in Free Toast Toast that might help you understand the difference there. And we'll look at the evaluations. Okay, so I wanted to talk about a few of the new features that we've seen. A lot of the information that they took from members evaluating the projects, they realized there was some confusion in some places, some things that we as members really didn't understand or were having trouble with. And I think they went in and tried to make it less confusing. So let's take a look at some of those things. This is actually the second page of any project in level 1. It tells you that you can learn about your project and you can learn how to navigate. So you can see it actually has a play button here for a video. And I'll show you those in a little bit more detail. First, I wanted to show you though, you know that you can use either arrow on either side to move through the path project or through the project. That's still the same. You have a button, a drop down at the very bottom. That's still the same, but it looks a little bit different. And I wanted to show you the difference. It's very subtle, but it's organized a little bit differently than it was before. And we'll look at a comparison. So you'll see it has part 1, getting started. Part 2 is actually your icebreaker. So this is the icebreaker project. Part 3 is after your speech, what do you do? And then part 4 is completing your project. They found that a lot of people were not comfortable getting started or looking at the navigation. So there is a video now. They looked at completing your project. A lot of us had problems when we tried to figure out how do we check off the mark? How do we make sure we've marked it complete? And people were having trouble with that. So now there's actually a video at the end of your project that tells you exactly what you need to do to complete it. Here is an example of them side by side. And like I said, it's very subtle, but you can tell it's organized a little bit differently. They've got the getting started video. It's about 4 minutes. They've got the complete your project. That's a video as well. It's about 2.5 minutes. And then they've added to the icebreaker, understanding the Toastmaster evaluation. And so we're going to talk about that. There's a little bit of an additional part that they've added here. But again, very subtle, but it's much more organized and I think easier to try to understand. And so here is that second page. It says learn about your project, but it's all about navigation. If you decide to play or move to the next level, it starts a 4-minute and 9-second video that tells you exactly how to move about, how to use your arrows, how to use the drop down, how to navigate those questions, how to answer the before assessment. So it walks you through as a new member how to do those things. You can listen to it once and you can skip it the next time. So it's there for our new members to give them a little bit of education and feedback about how to do this. Excuse me, but the next time you go in, just skip it. This is a video that has been added to the very end of level 1. of your project, and it is how to complete your project. Again, this is the same kind of screen. It's got a play button. It will lead you, if you play it, or if you if you go to the next section with the arrow, it will lead you to another video. This one is, as I said, 2 minutes and 33 seconds, but it talks about how do you complete your project? What do you need to do in order to complete it? And it leads you through that step a little bit better than it did in the past. So it tells you how to do it and how to fill out the form, how to fill out the after assessment. If you skip one, it shows you what to do to go back and get it right, what it looks like when you submitted it correctly. So all of that is in a little 2-minute video. Again, you listen to it once, you got it. You don't have to listen to it anymore. And it's only been added in level 1. I wanted to show you another, just again, this is something that is a little bit subtle, but it's another example of some of the things they've gone in and done differently this time. You may recognize that this is the evaluation and feedback project assignment in the old level 1. It was just this huge paragraph. Now what they've done is, this is the assignment in the new level 1 evaluation and feedback. It reveals every step. So as you walk through, it says step 1 is this, step 2 is this, apply feedback, evaluate. So it's just a little bit more organized and a little bit easier to understand because it reveals each step that you need to do. It's a little bit more, I think, purposeful, and it helps you understand that this is a 3-part project, not just one step. Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about where to find these new evaluations. The icebreaker is out there. We're familiar with that. The evaluation and feedback is out there. We're familiar with that. Where do I find these 2 new ones? Now, of course, they're in your path. If you select a new path after the 27th, you're going to get these projects and the evaluations on your evaluation page. If you wanted to see them now, you can go to, this is the Basecamp homepage. You can go to the speech evaluation section. This is what is revealed when you go to the evaluation resource page. But guess what? It's not here yet. I have submitted a ticket on it, but you can't find the 2 new projects on here. They're in alphabetical order. However, they are on the system. If you go to the very top of that same page and do a search on Introduction to Vocal Variety and Body Language, it will come up. You'll see it on the very right, and you can launch it there. If you type in on the search, writing a speech with purpose, it will come up and you can launch it from here. So it almost looks like it's not there, but it really is. You just have to, you have to search for it. The other way you can find it is you can go to tutorials and resources. If you do that, then you would go to the evaluation resources. And guess what? It is here. So they just missed one piece, one part, and I'm sure they will be adding it back, but you can go to the evaluation resources and get copies of these new evaluation forms. I wanted to talk a second about Free Toast Toast because Free Toast Toast has added these new projects to the drop downs when you sign up for speech. So when you type in presentation mastery and go to your speech projects and fill them in on Free Toast Toast, if you're using the agenda with your club and you have people sign up for speeches, when you do that, you'll see that there are additional speeches here. And the way they've got it listed is icebreaker, still the same icebreaker. Writing a speech with purpose is new, brand new. They've got that in caps. Now, this is what we were talking about a little bit before that is a little bit confusing, and our members may get a little confused about it. I can see. But you'll see that the Introduction to Vocal Variety and Body Language has 3 options. Option 1, you're doing both. you want to be evaluated on both vocal variety and body language. Option number 2, you are doing vocal variety only. You want to concentrate on that part. Option number 3, you want to concentrate on body language only. So this helps you select which option you want, and it does a couple of things. If you think about when you're signing up for a speech, this would communicate to your evaluator which of the projects you want to do, what you want to concentrate on when you have the evaluation. So for example, if you choose option 2, your evaluator, is what will show up, introduction to vocal variety only, then they will know that that's what you want to concentrate on. It also helps because it pulls up the right evaluation form when you select it. Now, I found a couple that I think they missed. When you select it, it comes up with the one that's both. But I did open a ticket, and I'm sure that they will go back and fix this. But this will be nice because then if somebody picks vocal variety only, Free Toast Host will show the correct evaluation form. You won't have to think about it. And the other thing is, it does communicate to your Toastmaster and to your evaluator and to your general evaluator which focus you want on your evaluation form. And you'll see at the very bottom, it says researching and presenting is old. So it has moved. There is actually a check. So we see option 1, 2, 3, and we see researching. There is a check box that comes up, a confirmation box that comes up when you select reflecting on your path, and it says you must have started this prior to the 27th of October. If you say yes, then you continue and it will let you sign up for this. If you say no, then there is an L3 elective for researching and presenting that you can select. So you can still do the researching and presenting project. It's just not part of level 1. So this check comes in just to say, are you sure you're doing the right, level 1? Okay. So at this point, I wanted to do a demonstration to actually walk you through a level 1 because I think it'll help you to actually see it. And we're going to walk through speaking with purpose, writing a speech with purpose. But I also want to touch just a brief minute on Basecamp management. Because if you think about it, you will have members like myself. The same member is in the old level 1 in one path and the new level 1 in another path. So you could have a mixture of that for quite some time. If you think about a lot of our members who started their icebreaker, but they haven't gone any further. Well, if they picked it before the 27th, they're going to be in that old path for a while. And they're going to need to go through the older level 1. If they haven't picked a path yet, and they've been a member for a while, maybe they've even done their icebreaker, but they haven't picked a path yet, then when they do that, they're going to pick the new path and they're going to have some new speeches that they may not be familiar with. So as VPEs, as officers, I think it's important for us to understand the difference so we can speak to our members with that. Okay, before we go into the demo, I wanted to see if anybody had any questions. Any questions about what we've talked about so far?
Debbie, this is Gloria.
Yes, ma'am.
The question that I have is, for instance, presentation mastery. If we chose it before the 27th, can we go in and buy the new copy and just not do the old one?
No, that is something that is part of their system. If you're in a project or if you're in a path right now, you can't select it again. It won't let you. It'll be grayed out. Now you can go in and select another path like engaging humor or something else.
Okay, it just has to be different.
It has to be different, right? You can't, and that's just something that was from before. You can't pick the same path again and do it over. Once Now I finished presentation mastery, and I did choose it again, but it overlaid the old one. It still knows I finished it, but it overlays it. So
Okay,
there's no way to do
all
that.
right.
But
Thank you.
Gloria, if you do pick any other path from now, you'll get that first. You'll get that for new level 1.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh. Any other questions, anyone, before we go into the demo? All right, so let's take a look at the new level 1, just so you get a chance to see it. So this is the Toastmaster International website. I'm going to go the shortcut. I just learned to do this, and that's to go through my profile, my welcome message. And the reason I do that, or go in that way, is because it has all of the sections that I might want to get to: Basecamp Manager, selecting a new path, seeing the navigator. However, it's got this shortcut down here that says go directly to my transcripts. And so once you pick your path and you're working in your path, you may not want to go through several screens in order to get to your transcripts. This takes you, if I do this, takes me straight there. So I don't have to go through several screens and pick, but I want to go here. Now you can see I've got a lot of paths open, but innovative planning is one that I opened after the 27th. And you can see here that it's got my level 1 with my icebreaker, writing a speech on purpose, and introduction to vocal variety and body language, and then evaluation and feedback. So it has more projects, has one more project actually, because it moved one out of the way, but it's still got 4 evaluation and feedback, still has 2 speeches and an evaluation. So you really have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and an evaluation here instead of 4 and an evaluation. Okay, so let's launch writing a speech with purpose. All right. We know it takes a minute for this to unfold. Okay, so very similar look and feel to any of our other projects when we begin them. What you'll notice, as soon as we begin, this is that page I was telling you about. This is the second page. It talks about whether you want to play the video. You can either play it from here, or if you move, it plays anyway. So I don't know what that button's for, to be honest. I'll just let it play for a second.
Welcome to Pathways. I'm Blake, and I'm going to show you a few tips to help you navigate your projects.
So again, it is a 4-minute presentation or video that walks them through, and think about with a new member, it really is helping them understand, how do I move in this system? How do I take advantage of everything? And so it's very nice. Now, one of the things that it does that gets to be a little annoying after a while is in level 1, all these directions pop up whether you want them to or not. So they pop up, you have to close them out and then you can move on. So I just wanted to move through. This has all of the education that we talked about, your assignment, very similar to what we saw before. Okay, this is something that's brand new. It tells you how to do the assessment, how to do it successfully, what these little dot numbers mean. That's the number of questions that you're going to have to answer, how to submit it correctly. So that pops up and tells them how to do this. Let's see, I'm going to skip pretty quickly through the rest of these because I just wanted to show you. It's very similar to projects you've seen in the past, but I did want to stop right here. There, in part of this writing your speech, there is a topic and purpose worksheet. There's one in the icebreaker, and I don't think we use this often enough, or we let our new members know about it, because this is actually, if you go into this, and is it taking you into that screen? Can you see? Okay, sometimes it doesn't connect right, but this is really helping you sit down and think about, what is my purpose for this speech? What is my topic? What is my message? How do I narrow down this 15-minute presentation to 5 to 7 minutes, or even 4 to 6 minutes? Well, 5 to 7 for this one. But it's really helping you understand or go through, okay, what's my purpose? Am I informing? Am I entertaining? And am I inspiring? And it's just a little worksheet that can help you go through that and help your members really understand how to do that basic speech and to get those foundation skills. And of course, then you can download it. Okay, as I said, those start to get a little bit aggravating. Just have to close them before you move. Okay. This has included the speech outline worksheet. This is a little bit different because it talks about, how am I going to open my speech? Things to consider. Who's my audience? Who's the target? How am I going to transition? What are my main points in my body? Do I have the first main point, and what are my subpoints, or what stories am I going to tell? What's my second main point? What's my third main point? How am I going to close this speech? So this is just a very, very good worksheet to use to help you when you're starting off writing speeches. A lot of our members, when they're new, they don't know how to write a speech. And so this is just something that's very helpful. And I find myself going back to it sometimes just to say, okay, did I get this right? All right, we've got more and more education. So this is very similar. I think there's a video in here. Maybe not in this one. I know there is in vocal variety and body language. There are two videos, one that shows them about body language and one that shows them about, excuse me, vocal variety. So this is one page I wanted you to show you that is a little bit new and very interesting, because now they have what they call documents. You can see this with the little document icon, and then they've got links to other things, links to tutorials, how to evaluate. Your worksheets are here, so if you didn't catch them within the project, they're here at this resource page. So they've kind of put everything together. Here's your evaluation resource, just like it was before. But you'll notice on several of these resource pages, it has additional resources here or additional links, which can be very, very helpful to a new member. Okay. Now, this is what I was telling you about, the video at the very end that tells you how to complete your project. I know a lot of people got really confused about that. They're like, I finished my project, but it's not checked off. How do I do that? This really explains to you how to complete your project and what you need to do. So I'm going to play it again. It looks very similar to the one we saw in the beginning. I'll just let it go for a second.
Welcome back. You have reached the end of your project. I'll share a few tips on the final steps to take once you have completed your assignment.
Okay. So again, it's stepping you through the different process that you need to do in order to complete your project. It tells you if you missed one, you need to go back and make sure it's right, and how to tell if it's been successfully submitted. So that's very nice. And then here at the end, it's a little bit different. Your congratulations page is under one of the buttons. I know I had people confused before because they would not submit it and go to the next page and it said, congratulations, you're finished. Well, no, they really didn't. But the system looked like they had. So that was a little bit confusing. So that shows us the level 1 for that particular project, writing a speech with purpose. So you can start to see some of the things that they've added. Every project has that beginning video. Every project has that ending video. Once you listen to it, you just skip it. You don't need it anymore. And it's only in our level 1 project. So it should be helpful to our members. I wanted to show you the icebreaker for a second. Just a few parts of it, because the icebreaker is the same. It's 4 to 6 minutes. It's a lot of the same information and education. but there are a couple of things that are a little bit different that I wanted to show you. Again, we've got that beginning and ending video. Those have been added. I want to go to you and your goals. Okay. That was similar. That's the same video that was in the original icebreaker. What I wanted to show you though, it's got a lot of additional information, and there is actually a video here that tells our new members what to expect. I thought this was very interesting. It's only about a minute, but it really tells them about the evaluator is going to evaluate your project. This is how you're looking into pathways to see what your projects are and what your objectives are and things like that. So this is what to expect, which I thought was really good. Again, listen to this one time, you can skip it the next time. I'm not even going to sit on that. I did want to show you something else though. The evaluation and resource page, we talked about the fact that they have added some resources and links to some of these evaluation and resource pages for projects. You can see that we still have the icebreaker evaluation. You can still print your project. That was in the old system. It's got the icebreaker outline. This is something, honestly, I think we don't push so much with our new members that might be very, very helpful for them if they go in and look at this worksheet, because it does help you start to think, how am I going to open? How am I going to close? What's in my body? Does it really keep to my message? How am I going to transition? So you start to look at that kind of thing. So this is very, very helpful. But what I wanted to show you here, there is actually a link to my feedback page. You all remember that old feedback in Pathways. I don't think we use it very often. I don't think we make use of it as much as we could. This takes you right there, and you can actually request feedback from your members. After you give a speech, you may want to reach out to someone and say, were my transitions done very well? Did they make sense? Was my humor really funny? So you can actually send these feedback requests out to your members to see how you did on that project and to get feedback from people. This is some of my other feedback badges that I've gotten from people and things like that. But that link took me straight to my feedback page. So that's kind of nice. And some of these pages, there are links that take you directly to other things. So I thought that was very interesting. And that is in the icebreaker. So it introduces them to that right away. Before we leave the projects, I wanted to see, are there any questions about the new level 1, anything that I can show you here? As I said, the evaluation and feedback project is still the same videos. Those haven't changed, but some of the structure around them have changed. And every one of these has that before and after video that's helped them to clarify some information. Any questions before we go into base camp? Okay. So let's go back to base camp. I'm going to go back to my profile page. I'm going to log in as Basecamp manager. And I hope, so this is a new message that there are additional resources for you. I can't get that to stop popping up either. I hope nobody has approved my, here it is. Okay, good. Nobody approved it. I wanted to show you how to look at somebody's level 1 to see which level 1 they're in. And so one thing that the approval tells, or the approval application or award tells me, is which path. You need to be sure that you look here and make sure you understand that this is effective coaching. This is a level 1 award for effective coaching, because I have multiple projects pass opened. If you don't pay attention here, there's really nothing to tell you which one you're looking at. But I can see I'm on effective coaching. Now, if your member is only in one path, this wouldn't be an issue. But if you got anybody who has two paths open, two or more paths open, you do need to pay attention here, because you can click on, so we see Debbie Thompson here. That's the member that has the award submitted. If I click on Debbie Thompson here, it's underscored. This takes me directly to transcripts. So as I said, if I've got multiple, if I'm a member with multiple options here, you're not sure which award I'm submitting. So I need to remember that I was submitting an award for effective coaching. So let's open that. Okay, I'm going to go to level 1. You can see I'm skipping around a little bit here. But if we open my level 1, we can see that effective coaching was under the old level 1. So I've got icebreaker, evaluation and feedback, and researching and presenting. This has not been approved, so it is not 100% complete. But that is what tells me which level this particular member was in. The other thing that you can do, let me go back and see if it'll take me back from here. Okay, let me go all the way back. Okay, there we go. Okay, so back to this approval. One of the things that you can do once you get into pending request, if you do a search on the member, once you start typing their names, their name would come up. I can go here and go to their pass and learning. So if I'm a VPE and I really want, or Basecamp manager, and I want to know what they're working in for this, then I can show the pass they're in. If I open their curriculum and go to their level 1, it tells me exactly which one they completed or which one maybe they're in progress for. Okay, so you can always do the search here. Let me see if I can get this to work. Okay. If you put the club name in the search, it will come up with the club members. And then as VPE or as Basecamp manager, you can actually go in and see what your members are working in. There's a bug here because you would think show all would show more than people, but people shows more. I think they've got it backwards. Anyway, just click on people, and this will show you the people that are enrolled in pathways. It may not show up if they're in multiple clubs and they're signed into another club. So that may be missing and may throw you off. But this is another really good way if you're VPE and you really want to start looking at your members, see where they are, see what help they might need. You can actually type in the club name and it will come up so you can see everyone. Or as I said, just start typing their name and then it will come up that way. Okay. All right. Now, one thing I have not done in Basecamp management is look at the reports. There's nothing to see right now. I don't know anybody that has finished a level 1, a new level 1. So I don't know what the reports look like, but I'm assuming, which maybe I shouldn't do, but I'm assuming that they're going to look very similar to the way they were in the past. If they're in the new level 1, then they would have those new level 1 projects listed. Okay. Anything you want to talk about while we're here? Okay. So however you're tracking, as I said, you could have members in your club, if you're VP and officer or Basecamp manager, who are in multiple levels. They're in the old level in some paths, they're in the new level in some paths. So it's good to understand just how to check and make sure, you know, which level 1 they're in and what projects they need to be doing, what speeches they need to be doing. However you're tracking that, whether you're tracking it in Free Toast or by some other method, just to make sure you understand what projects they're doing. Okay, does that make sense? All right, very good. Any questions? Anything you guys want to ask about the new level 1? I do feel like understanding the old CC manual, which I do miss, I have to be honest. I just felt I felt like that built some very strong foundation skills, but I think this new level 1 is getting back to that more in line with really giving them a good solid brick foundation before they go into other things. And so if they start with level 1 the way it is now, I think it does build some skills that we're missing in the old level 1. Okay.
Right.